Good morning, Skippy. Goodness gracious. Damn near was crying before I got on stream. Anyways, fuck it. I'm glad you have a half day off, bro. You deserve it. You work hard. Everybody who's coming in, that's new to the channel, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 20K subs. We're at 10,845 subs. 155 more subscribers. We'll be at 11,000. We're running it up. We've been running it up, and we're going to continue to run it up. I appreciate every single person that supports the channel. Yesterday was crazy. Um, with FBA being in here, I mean, as you can see, he donated $4 or $5, $10, $5, $5. Stacy, thank you for the two, and then another $5 from FBA. So it was a good day yesterday. We've been going a few streams here and there without having any donos, which, I'm not the type of person that's like, I need the donations. But it's like, bro, I stream Monday through Friday for 5 or 6 hours straight. So it does make me very appreciative when, um, you know, people do support the channel and donate. It helps motivate me a bit more than some days when I'm not doing nothing. But that's why I'm also working on other videos and AdSense stuff and whatnot. But as well, yesterday's stream was wild. Can you guys hear me? Let's make sure. Okay. Yesterday's stream was wild, dude. So yesterday's stream for Candace was I got home, I took my daughter to Walmart, my daughters, and we ended up getting stuff to paint their room. And I came home and I seen Candace was online, and in the thumbnail it showed Candace Owens. Um, it showed the video of behind Charlie Kirk, right? And she showed it. She said to the person that sent it to her that she wouldn't show it, but due to the way things are, she is showing it. And I must tell you, this disproves the Erica Kirk or the 30 odd 6 theory even more. Okay? It's just crazy. So, anyways, we're going to get into it. I appreciate you guys for being here. Much love to everybody. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the like button before we get into this. Hit the subscribe button. Show some love and support. Appreciate everybody for being here today. We'll just do 10 super chats. I'm going to probably not get it, but you got to aspire for better things, right? Well, it's going to be on Candace's stream. I didn't watch the beginning of it, but I figure since she showed the video, we're going to watch the whole stream today. I was just going to play the clip, and I changed my mind, and I was like, yeah, no, maybe we should just watch the whole stream so we can, you know, get context of why she released it and stuff. And knock it off, Skippy. You're not a freaking wussy like all these other people, so stop it. Knock it off. Knock it off, Skippy. All right. Anyway, whatever. Let's get into it. I'm trying to see if I should. All right. All right. Let's get into it. Everybody, double tap that screen. I appreciate you guys. I see you guys liking already. So much love. Hit the subscribe button with notification bell. Join the family. Whatever. I do have a super chat goal up of 10 super chats, $10 and above. And you start making money, man. You start saving a little bit. Why I do save. I have stuff saved up, but your boy is just a cheap motherfucker. So when money leaves my bank account, it breaks my heart. So I have to replace it, right? That's how men work. That's how men operate. Yeah, I seen that. Seen that, Skippy. I seen that crashed. Yeah, it's I've seen a short earlier of Alex Jones saying that Trump still has time to just say we won, pull out, whatever, and just to save face. And it's true. He could just pull out right now and say we bombarded them, we attacked their navy, we took out 50 plus vessels, we did whatever else. We're pulling out. We don't need to have any more bloodshed on our side. It's over. We may remain doing missile strikes or whatever, but boots on the ground is just so stupid. It should never happen. But yeah, that's what he said. So I mean, it's gonna be interesting. My prayers go out to all the people.
All right, you guys, it's going to be a hell of a Thursday. What do I have for you? Trump, Kash Patel, Jared Kushner. Why does it now feel like everyone is implicated in the Epstein file cover up, right? Crazy question for you guys today. Do you believe that the Epstein files may have something to do with Charlie Kirk's assassination? Because for the life of me, I could not fathom how Charlie Kirk, who was a friend to all of these people, all of these very powerful people, could have been so deeply betrayed by all of them, in the sense that when he died, they all immediately wanted to turn the chapter. They weren't interested. He dedicated his adult life to empowering these people. And I just remember thinking to myself, what's going on? These people now occupy the highest offices in America. Their dear friend was just assassinated, and they seem altogether disinterested in the obvious holes in the Tyler Robinson lone shooter narrative, his wife included. Why does nobody in Charlie's world want a true investigation? I'm now thinking that maybe it's plausible that everyone here is implicated in the Jeffrey Epstein cover up. Like, do all of these people know each other through the world of New York real estate, beauty pageants, Israelis, and Eastern European models? I'm now asking myself, are they launching a world war that nobody wants to distract us from the Epstein files? Could the world really be this evil? And on that note, I think it is high time to share the video footage from behind Charlie's head. We will also be sharing the remaining photos that we have in our possession from the inside of the vehicle that Charlie was transported to the hospital in. We're going.
Oh, it's a good thing I'm playing the whole stream, because I was just gonna play the clip of behind Charlie. So it's a good thing I'm playing the whole stream for today, so we can go over this. And I can already tell people are gonna say, "Oh, now she thinks that Epstein's the reason that he passed away and stuff." No, what she's saying is that everybody that's on this list, you notice how he isn't on the list? Everybody, including his wife, is implicated at this point, and it's sad. All right, bro.
Epstein's favorite modeling agency, Faith Kate's Next Modeling Management, a Rothschild spinout. We broke the story that her dealings with them involved real estate in some capacity. Erica Franzwe was, as we were told, the point person to the firm when it came to housing young models. More specifically, Erica dealt with apartments in a white building. They had remembered that that white building was located somewhere near 68th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue. Well, lo and behold, a few of you guys sent us a building that could potentially match that very description. A building that was owned by Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, who inherited all of his wealth. I want you guys to check out this article, which was published by the New York Post. It reads, in part, "Exposed," this is the title, "inside the New York City condo building where Jeffrey Epstein secretly kept his underage victims." And the article tells us, quote, "Newly unsealed records reveal that Jeffrey Epstein kept some of his underage victims in an apartment building just 10 blocks from his Upper East Side townhouse. The address is 301 East 66th Street, a 16-story post-war condo between 1st and 2nd Avenues. With a 24-hour doorman, hid another sordid operation. The files show the building functioned as a logistical hub for Epstein's world. And according to civil complaints, and sworn testimony the underage girls that he trafficked. More than a dozen apartments also cycled between wealthy guests, notable foreign dignitaries, and Epstein staffers. Elsewhere in the article, we learned that, quote, one victim had previously described arriving at the building and being shown a small apartment stocked with domestic comforts. She says, I remember the apartment clearly, she said in her 2022 account. It was relatively small, and there was Dannon yogurt in the fridge and a basket of fruit and cookies on the counter. It was a gesture showing the guise of care before she was taken about 9 blocks away to Epstein's townhouse at 9 East 71st Street to give him a massage. She said, quote, I remember feeling quite special, she recalled in the interview. It was a part of the manipulation, though. Here, we are caring for you. We are providing for you. That's all part of the grooming process, end quote. Isn't that ironic? Here is the photo, which they've embedded into the article because it has an interesting caption. It says, some apartments were labeled in his address book, as apartments for models. Wow, apartments for models. And civil filings allege the condos were used to house young women brought from overseas and provided with living quarters, transportation, and other benefits to secure compliance. This photo is also courtesy of Corcoran. Wow, Corcoran Real Estate. I love that the photo is courtesy of Corcoran Real Estate because remember, the Corcoran president, according to Jeffrey Epstein's files, was a Rothschild. Why is this just giving massive conspiracy? White building right there. The person remembers Erica dealing with models. He's just putting in his phone, apartment for models. What's going on here? Why wouldn't she just simply answer an email and clarify her relationship with Next Model Management? This feels to me, again, like a massive conspiracy, which could have potentially implicated many more players who were involved in the New York City real estate scene and who also happen to radically support the nation state of Israel, given that the Rothschilds credit themselves with having created that nation state. Yeah, it wasn't biblical, it was banking. The Kushners are involved in Manhattan real estate, right? The Trumps are involved in Manhattan real estate. And from where I'm sitting, it looks like Donald Trump and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi colluded to lie to the American people about the Epstein files. At the very least, we can now assert that they intentionally covered up for Jared Kushner's Israeli business friends who sold Ivanka and Jared their Miami mansion, and they were just found guilty of sex trafficking. Remember, Kash Patel said there was no evidence of trafficking in the files, none. Yet, these Israeli-American brothers, Tal, Oren, and Alon Alexander, were indeed in the files. And we can assume that because of their relationship with Jared Kushner, they enjoyed a warm relationship with Donald Trump. They certainly visited the White House multiple times. They even were invited to the annual Hanukkah party. And I'm wondering if it's because of that they had their last names redacted from the Epstein files. We were told that the redactions were limited to protecting us from child pornography. Well, it turns out that too was a lie, as we always knew it was. Trump is protecting his friends. He's protecting Jared's friends. He is protecting Israel. And I gotta tell you, it is good to be an Israeli piece of filth that is in with the Trumps and the Kushners. The redactions didn't matter in the end, thanks to the crusade of Congressman Thomas Massie, among others, who Trump now wants primaried down in Kentucky because Israel wants him out. He's not a Zionist. The brothers were revealed because of him, and they were, like I told you, just found guilty in a major sex trafficking case. And, well, I guess let's just check out this news clip to see what sorts of people this administration is working to defend and cover for. Take a listen.
3 brothers have been convicted of sex trafficking after weeks of emotional testimony. On Monday, a jury found that the Alexander brothers had repeatedly trafficked and engaged in unlawful sexual activity with young women. 2 of the brothers rose to prominence, closing high-end real estate deals in New York and Miami. Tom Hansen joins us now with more. Tom, good morning.
Hey there, Vlad. Good morning to you all. The Alexander brothers were found guilty of all 10 counts against them in federal district court here in Manhattan Monday. Their defense team had argued the brothers were womanizers, but not criminals. The jury disagreed.
More than a year after the Alexander brothers were first arrested on charges including sex trafficking, a jury found the trio guilty of all 10 counts against them Monday. Mark Agnifilo represents Owen Alexander.
We believe in our client's innocence, and we're not going to stop fighting until we prevail.
Owen and his brother Tal rose to prominence as real estate brokers to the mega rich, with a splashy profile in the New York Times and appearances on cable business shows about their multi-million-dollar sales.
It's a family affair with us.
Alon Alexander, Owen's twin, worked as an executive for a private security firm owned by the family.
The Alexander brothers work together and with others.
Oh shit, one of them's self-deletion aspiring. I don't know how else to say it. This guy's wearing the turtle suit, so his brother must have said at some point when he was going into jail that he was going to unalive himself.
For a private security firm owned by the family.
The Alexander brothers work together and with others to repeatedly and violently drug, sexually assault, and rape dozens of female victims.
All three brothers were arrested in December of 2024. During the trial, the jury heard from 11 women who accused the brothers of rape or sexual assault, including allegations that the Alexanders had drugged the women before assaulting them, even recording certain encounters without consent. The jury found Tal, Owen, and Alon guilty of sex trafficking charges, Tal and Alon guilty of sex trafficking a minor, and Owen and Alon guilty of sexual abuse. Their sentencing has been scheduled for August, and the brothers face life behind bars.
And now that their federal trial is over, the Alexander brothers still face additional legal trouble, including in Florida, where Alon and Owen are charged with rape in state court. They have pleaded not guilty. The details pretty disturbing, guys.
Why are Israelis like this? Like, what is wrong with them? I'm asking seriously. And allow me to reiterate what's going on here. So Cash 33 Patel, and the President of the United States, likely under the instruction of his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who everybody knows is running the White House. He was running the White House back in 2020. He's the reason Trump has already admitted that Jared told me to bomb Iran. He told me that they might preemptively strike. Everything he does is because Jared Kushner tells him to. So Trump is essentially just being, on paper, he's running the White House. But it's always been Jared Kushner, okay? He was the one that also told him to lock everything down during COVID. What's going on here is they have just proven they were willing to lie via redactions to the American people to protect rapists, Israeli rapists, and sex traffickers because they donate to the IDF. You can apparently traffic and...
I don't get... So here's one thing, and I know this is going to be whatever, but dude, I just do not understand how she can sit here and say these words and she's still monetized. Like, there's something going on with her where she's got to be funded by somebody, because, dude, if I were to sit here right now and say all these words, I would be demonetized. I would get an email saying on my stream that I would be demonetized. I don't understand how she can just get away with saying everything she says. It's crazy.
You can rape
A little off subject, but it's crazy.
humans as long as you support Israel. That's the most important thing. Oddly, though, trafficking, this just keeps coming up, right? It's a common theme that nobody...
Because, I mean, look at how Tyler Oliveira, he just recently released the New Jersey, Israel taking over New Jersey, whatever the hell the title was. He released it, and he all of his sponsors pulled out, and he got demonetized, right? But she's sitting here saying all this stuff about Israel, any type of language she wants to, and she gets away with it. So I mean, I don't know. It's weird. It's just something I question.
expected. Throughout our investigation to Charlie Kirk, who killed Charlie Kirk, we keep coming up with themes of human sex trafficking and Israel and the unjustified redaction for the Alexander brothers sure adds a lot more smoke to that mysterious meeting that Andrew Colbert and other Turning Point USA affiliates had with top brass in the West Wing the literal day before the Epstein files dropped. Told you I thought, could it be for, like, are they redacting and doing things for their friends? Little hush-hush meeting that Mr. 33 Patel wanted to help Andrew Colbert camouflage by way of faking a Charlie Kirk live episode. I'm calling in. I never do this. Ha ha ha. Meanwhile, you're together in D.C. I think it's fair to ask what other pieces of human filth this administration would be willing to help for Israel. Now Trump has proven he will do anything for Israel. He will send your sons and your daughters to die for them. That's actually the plan they seem to be imparting upon us right now. So poor Charlie for having held him in higher estimation. This brings me to the utterly deranged campaign to foist Erica Kirk upon the masses, right? the widow, who was clearly not grieving, the media dismissing her obviously problematic past, no interest in her obviously problematic past or her obviously problematic mother. And now it seems they're taking it a step further, trying to get Erica's turning point into.
Welcome in, Samantha. I'm glad you popped in. I hope you're doing good. I miss seeing you in here. Some of you guys that are my moderators that were always in here before aren't in here anymore ever. Sad. Makes me sad.
High schools all
Make sure you guys like the stream, man. We're 23 minutes in. We always try and hit 100 likes within the first hour, but it looks like today the viewers are a little bit down, so it is what it is. Just make sure you guys like the stream, help propel us into the algorithm, show some love and support. Appreciate you guys.
America. That's been the push. They're even trying to establish something in Ireland. Ireland, wake up, pay attention. Korea, wake up, pay attention. Okay? It's weird and it's problematic. But let me ask you guys, with everything that we now know, how do you feel at home about the process?
I know Pumpkin abandoned us. That's crazy. What's crazy to me, and I guess it is what it is, it's the internet, and I can't, put expectations on people. But it's just crazy how people are in here every single day, every stream, show love, come part of the family, come part of Discord, and then what is this person doing? Holy crap, this guy's an idiot. Whoever's in the skid steer outside is so stupid. Anyways, and then all of a sudden they just disappear and they don't come in here anymore. They're gone. Like, I gotta go through my moderator list and take some people out to be a moderator, because, yeah. Anyways, thank you for being loyal, Skippy.
Back to Erica Kirk, Tyler Boyer, the Farnsworths, and the Turning Point staff being heavily endorsed for high school classrooms in particular, because that's what's happening. It's Club America. That's what it's called. Yesterday, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and yes, that is Mike Huckabee's daughter, might be relevant to the theme of Israel, signed a proclamation with Erica Kirk by her side, announcing her support for every high school in Arkansas to adopt a Club America. I want you guys to watch Erica in this clip, by the way. Pay attention to Erica's mannerisms in this clip, because I swear everything about her screams fraud. Terrible, not even D-list, E-list actress, because now she's going to take on this sheepish, and scared Erica in her mannerisms. All right, let's watch and listen to this.
Welcome in, Yasmin. Welcome in, everybody that's new, man. Make sure you guys double tap that screen, comment in the chat, man. Say what's up. I love hearing from you guys. Join the family. Hit the like or hit the subscribe button with notification bell. We're on the road to 20K subs, man. Hit the like button, help propel us into the algorithm. Say what's up in the chat. I love talking to you guys. Shout out where you're from.
We are here to welcome one of the conservative movement's most talented, most outspoken, and most faithful leaders, Erica Kirk, to our great state. We're so proud to have her, and we're so proud of the incredible work that she is doing to help encourage students across the country to engage and join Club America, which we're launching here in Arkansas, and we're just honored to have you.
Thank you. God bless you. We're so grateful, and thank you for honoring Charlie and his legacy and his mission.
Shout out Arizona.
A Club America on every high school chapter across the country. So God bless you guys, and thank you.
It's just so performative, and it gives me the ick, because somehow, as we have demonstrated, child sex abuse allegations, scandals, that seems to follow that sheepish girl that you just saw on the screen. She's just unlucky that way. It's never her. It's the U.S. Marines, Colonel Otto Busher. It's everyone around her that seems adjacent to these sorts of scandals. Take, for example, United Hands Romania. That's the organization that Erica partnered with on her Romanian Angels project. Okay, she partnered with an organization known as United Hands Romania. And something that immediately flagged me as weird is that when giving an interview about United Hands, Erica mentioned that the Romanian orphans did not trust the woman that was running it. I want you to take a listen to what Erica says about this woman who's running United Hands. Take a listen.
The Black Sea Rotational Force Base got moved to Norway in 2018. And for the past, I want to say 8 to 9 months, maybe even 10, the woman that is the boots on the ground in Romania for United Hands Romania Association, the head of that lives in Ohio. She has all of these backpacks and back to school supplies and all of these different things for the kids that she wants to send over there. And our contact, who was at the base in Constancia is no longer there. And the people who are there don't trust her because they don't have a connection to her. And so I have literally been praying to figure out how to get a hold of someone at that base to be able to be like, hey, we're going to be shipping in. Because I use a different shipping company to get there. I never use the militaries.
The kids
That doesn't sound right.
don't trust an adult woman to give them presents. Again, that flagged me as very odd. Children not trusting a woman so much so that they don't want to accept gifts from her. Nope. Been around, have 4 kids, have a lot of toddlers around. It's not right. I've heard of shy kids that need to warm up to strangers, right? But what Erica is describing there is a woman that has been involved with the organization for over a decade. She's been involved with this orphanage for over a decade. That signals to me that the kids know something about her. There's a reason they don't trust her, even when she is holding gifts. That was my gut instinct. So I went to investigate who that woman was and was gratefully sent an article by Romanians. Thank you guys so much for the work that you've done here. This article was published in 2017. And I'll show you first and foremost that Erica discusses.
I'm not going to lie. Candace is so goated that she gets tips from all over the world. She's so goated. People in Romania are like, I'm going to message her and give her a tip. Okay, pause. But you guys get what I mean, right? You know, like, fuck, she's so goated. Her tips line is now known throughout the whole damn world. Appreciate you guys for liking the stream, man. Keep liking it up. Keep liking the stream. Keep hitting the subscribe button with notification bell. We're on the road to 20K. Make sure you guys stay active in the chat, man. I love talking to y'all.
Partnership. The woman's name is Renee Crossman. Okay. She thanks her in this article. The quote reads, "We have formed a partnership with the Antonio Placement Center in Constanta. And as we promised, we are doing everything possible to take this friendship further for the benefit of Romanian children. We fell in love with these children and with the idea of repeated help over time. So we included this action in our list of international initiatives. I am happy to collaborate with the United Hands Romania Association and Renee Crossman, the president of this organization, but also with the representatives of the Antonio Placement Center." Okay. She says, "Truly, thank you to the many Romanians who sent." Sorry, that's me. So, like I said, you guys, thank you very much for sending me all of those articles, and it allowed me to look further into this Renee Crossman and what her background is, and a clue as to why maybe the children don't trust her. Vulnerable children don't trust Renee. It might be because Renee is a member of a cult. You may have heard of this cult. It used to be known as Children of God. Yeah, there are documentaries which are dedicated to discussing the Children of God cult. And I'm going to tell you about.
Yeah, this person can't even text, right? So just don't even pay attention to him, Skippy. First time I've even ever seen their fucking username on the channel. It's just bots. As soon as you start playing Candace, or you start going into these type of conversations, these people get in here and they like to talk hella stuff. But it is what, like, yeah.
Children of God. Actually, I'm going to read you verbatim words written by a Romanian investigative team, because this is going to sound familiar to you. This investigative team in Romania began looking into United Hands, began looking into Renee Crossman and the religious sect that she came from, the Children of God, which is now referred to as the Family. It was founded by evangelist David Berg, born in California in 1919. The article tells us Berg had a very turbulent life, one that included incestuous sexual relations with a cousin, and even one of his daughters, Faithy, whom he made into a sexual partner when she reached the age of 12. Around 1970, Berg began aggressive proselytizing, especially among young hippies, whom he convinced to leave their jobs, give up education, family, and all material possessions in order to join the Children of God. In the United States and Canada, as well as in London and other major cities of Europe, Australia, Latin America, Berg was in the habit of finding justifications for sins through prophetic words, arrogantly.
If it's your first time here, then why did you come in here and say we're not open to conversation? You don't make sense. So yeah, obviously I'm going to call you a bot, and I really don't care if you're a bot or not. Come in here acting a fool, you're going to get treated like a fool.
Proclaiming himself to be God's prophet for the end times, making known God's word for today, taking verses and examples from scripture and out of context in an attempt to validate his new doctrines. Berg instructed the Children of God to spread throughout the world, first in Europe in 1971 and later to reach every continent by the mid-1970s. The Children of God began calling themselves the family of love. Sexual excesses inevitably led to child sex. Faithful to his personal history, Berg claimed that incest and sex involving minors were permitted. And thus, soon, a series of cases appeared of mothers and fathers becoming sexually intimate with their sons and daughters, and even of young children committing sexual acts with other children or with adult members. Mixing his sexual immorality with occultism, Berg claimed that he maintained relationships with the entire pantheon of pagan goddesses, including Aphrodite, Diana, the goddesses of Atlantis, Macumba, which is in fact the name of the Afro-Brazilian cult, which is similar to voodoo, and many others, while continuing to proclaim salvation through faith in Jesus Christ, end quote. Okay. Talking about occultism, weird sex stuff happening, saying that you're doing things in the name of Christ, access to children. Yeah, you know what? Back in 2018, actually, Megyn Kelly did an interview, a profile piece, and an interview with a woman who left the cult and wanted to share her story. Her name is Christina Babin, and listen to what Christina told Megyn Kelly about her upbringing. Take a listen.
In 1976, David Berg introduced flirty fishing, which encouraged female members to show God's love through sexual relationships with potential converts. As for young girls like Christina, she says they were encouraged to engage in what Berg called sexual sharing.
Father David had sent out a letter to everybody and said that children should be shown how to have sex. And an adult couple came and got me in the night and showed me how to have sex. And I knew, by that time, I already knew that women were supposed to be prostitutes and we weren't supposed to say no to sex and that sex was part of our life. So I knew mentally what was expected of me and what I was supposed to feel. But when it happened, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel good. And I thought there was something wrong with me.
To be clear, Renee Crossman, Erica's partner on Romanian Angels.
Welcome into FBA.
Who the children, according to Erica,
hope you had a good night, brother. Hope you're having a good morning too, FBA. Much love to you.
Not trust, is a self-admitted member of this cult. She has not been accused of any wrongdoing. No, the U.S. Marines that she partnered with were going to be accused of wrongdoing. They're going to be accused of prostituting children. But Renee Crossman herself has not been accused of anything. And she says she defends the cult which was subsequently instructed to disperse and hide themselves in the world of nonprofit, according to the investigative piece. Are we to believe the U.S. Marines didn't catch that in a background check on Renee Crossman? She's an American. I would imagine there was a background check involved in that.
Hope your boy's doing okay too, brother.
Like I said, everything and everyone around Erica, just not Erica. Why is it that everything about Turning Point right now reminds me of a religious cult, right? The way Erica speaks, her mannerisms, her inflection, her saying Turning Point is her family. That's what they call themselves, a family. This is my family. What?
Yeah, or you know what's crazy too is the way she says, "This is my family," or like on that letter when Turning Point was sending me letters for donations, the last one I read on stream, the way they say for Charlie, this is for Charlie's legacy. Charlie would have wanted this. Charlie, Charlie, Charlie. It's like they're trying to make a Charlie cult, like a Charlie Kirk cult, right? TPUSA cult. This is my family. Oh, Charlie is dancing up in heaven. Merch sales are so high. This is all for Charlie, guys. Send your money through. Like on the letter, it said, so please enclose the recommended $30, $50, or $60, and then in parentheses, or more if you can. Like, what? Yeah, I don't know. Just gives me a bad taste.
Are you a CEO or are you not a CEO? Her choosing to have Stacy, the chief fundraiser over there at her side, rather than her biological family members after her husband was assassinated, that's proof that she does believe it is her family. Nothing was weird to her. This is my family. Her defense of sexual deviant Tyler Boyer. How do these people know each other? The way in which they are trying to seed the public and convince the public that this is what God wanted. God ordained this. Erica is so godly. She cannot even get a sentence out without saying the Lord. And I'm going to be honest, it creeps me out. The whispering creeps me out. It does not fill me with any sense of light. In fact, it fills me with quite the opposite. I feel uncomfortable. I feel like I am watching a religious cult try to indoctrinate the masses. I felt like Charlie's entire assassination was a cult, as I presented to you. Like it was a cult and it was meant to hypnotize the world. I mean, the whispering, let's go back and actually watch this clip of Erica on Jesse Waters when I say I'm speaking about the way she whispers makes me uncomfortable. Take a listen.
And I truly believe that if the Lord, which this does not happen, but if the Lord gave him an option to return back to earth, and if the Lord said, this is what your death is going to be the catalyst for? Do you want to go back and exchange it? He'd say no.
How, and I guess I do, like yesterday when we watched what's his name? God, what's his name? The bald guy. Anyways, doesn't matter. When we were watching the video yesterday on the last episode when she was saying that that guy said that she said this, I was like, God, where did she say this at, you know? And I remember watching this, reacting to this fucking interview, and I didn't even notice that. I can't believe this guy's even sitting across her with a straight face saying, when she said that, like, what? Again, yeah, he wouldn't want to come back home to his children that he had, you know, that he wouldn't want to come back home to the organization that he built from the ground up. He wouldn't want to come back home to change the world to his vision like he wanted to, being the visionary he was or whatever. It's just like, holy, how could you even say that with a straight face on live television in front of millions of people? That's just crazy to me.
Wow. He'd say no.
He'd say no. He'd say no. It's just fucking... I keep saying this and I sound like a broken record, but every single time I go back and I listen to these Candace, or not Candace, the Erica Kirk interviews she's been doing, dude, I seriously, it seriously just gives me the ick, like Candace would say. I just can't. Like, it's like you just start. It's kind of like going back. Blake Neff, yes, Blake Neff, the bald guy. There you go. Thank you, JW. I appreciate you. So yeah, Blake Neff said that, and I was like, oh God, you know, I can't. You know, so you're picking kids and money over heaven? Fuck yeah, I am. If I could choose to come back and be with my children, yeah, duh. Like, you're not a good parent if you do. Seriously, his kids are 3 and 2. You don't think he'd want to be with his kids? The kids are the biggest blessing in the damn world. Why would you? If I died and God gave me a choice to come back and be with my kids, of course I would. My kids are my world. I mean, my kids are my everything, dude. Would I die for my kids? Yes. But if I had the chance to die for them, then come back and have a second death, I would, just so I can spend more time with them. My kids are my world. You know? Like, fuck the business. Fuck the money. Coming back for my kids is what matters to me. You know, I think about it all the time when I'm with my girls, you know? Like, God, I could never leave them. Like, if I had to be put in a position where I had to pass away for them to be here, I would do it. But I just could never. I hate, you know, being away from my kids. I love my kids. How could you not choose that? That's a stupid question. And you know, I believe in reincarnation. I believe in the universe. And when you die, you go on to a different, you know, way of living. I don't believe that you're just up in heaven. You're down in hell. We're in a universe, right? Consciousness continues to flow, even when it leaves the shell. So yes, I would come back and see my kids, because you don't know what happens after death, and it's sad, it's scary, and it makes me sad just thinking about it. But anyways, yeah, much love to everybody for being here. Thank y'all for running up the likes. Everybody keep double tapping the screen, show some love and support. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 20K subs, man. Yeah, Candace is on to something, bro, and we're about to get into the juicy part of this. I should have just skipped forward because this is all just hoopla, but she's about to when I seen the video she released yesterday, yeah, she completely disproved the fact that it was a 30-06, bro. Like, this leaked video there's no way. Even watching how he got hit from the back, right? Watching the back part of the video when it's showing the backside of him and him getting shot, dude. Yeah, you guys will see. I'll shut up. Let's get to this.
Really? He'd say no? He want his kids to grow up alone? Again, this is a part of brainwashing. It's brainwashing tactics for a cult. That's how I feel. Okay, I have a right to feel that Turning Point has turned into something else. I feel it was infiltrated. I feel Erica is very obviously taking it in a direction that makes me uncomfortable. Everything we've seen about her background and the manner in which she was raised screams fraud to me. She lies pathologically as if she herself was brainwashed, as if she doesn't know that she's lying. It should tell you that something is not right here. And now we have to go max for Charlie. That's how I feel. We need to go max for Charlie because when I look at all the players on the board, when I look at her relationship with Trump, when I look at the way that they are continuing to defend her and to try to tell us that she must be accepted, no. It screams at me just the opposite. And when we get back, we're going to be releasing the remaining photos and the video evidence that we have from September 10th. All right, you guys, if you've been following me for a while, then you know how much I absolutely love Riverbend Ranch steaks. If you some products, visit
I
Nick.
should try those one time. Yeah, God, they're just coming out with so much nicotine packets. It's crazy. Now this one's called Knick Knack. Come on, Candace, don't be doing that. I paused during a weird face too. But I must say, being on the internet as long as I have been, I've been doing content on the internet since like 2012, 2011, making different channels. This is my first channel to really kind of blow up and do good like it has been. But I have had success on Facebook with other pages and whatnot. But you just kind of see the people in the world, if they're not bots, some of these people that comment and what they say, it's hard to believe that people think like that out there sometimes, right? It reminds you that there's still people out there who think completely different than you and think in stupid ways, right? So you're picking your kids and money over heaven. Fuck the money part, but the fact that you're even gonna say, so you're picking your kids over heaven, really? I mean, I guess you don't have kids. Who like, to me, my heaven is being with my kids, right? Or when people say other stuff, it's just like, wow, okay. I would hate to know them in real life.
Chemical. So why today? Why now? Well, it's been 6 months, and I frankly think we all feel pretty confident that Turning Point is there's some sort of a brand hostile takeover going at the very least, right? Zionists are in there. They didn't kill him, but they are going to now force people that Charlie didn't like at the helm of this company, right? They're going to defend those individuals. And I think we are very much entitled to that opinion, that something's not right. In the beginning, I was not sure about Erica. I thought maybe she is dealing with a lot behind the scenes, trying to figure out where the snakes are. I do not feel that way today about Erica. I now feel her motives are impure.
Make sure you guys like the stream.
I now know for a fact she is dishonest. Her background, there are pathological lies all throughout it. And so the internet must have everything because the people that should be defending Charlie are not. No, they're not defending Charlie at all. They are going around actually trying to spread this Fed slop and trying to guilt us and trying to tell us that we're demonic for recognizing that something we were forced to all, I guess, not partake, but look at what was an occult ceremony. I believe Charlie's death, the setting of it, everything was planned down to the T. I believe he was sacrificed. Okay. And so we want to share all the evidence that we have so that the people that I bet Charlie wishes he was friends with, the YouTubers that have spent time on this, the people that have put things together to try to figure out what did happen on that day, I bet he wishes those were his associates and not the people that he spent so much time building up. All right, so first let us begin with the photos inside the van. We had only showed one. I'm going to show you this one here so that you guys can take this. Here is a closer bit. I do want to point out that it does very much look to me like there was some sort of shattered glass.
See, and she says this glass is from the Rode mic, right? My opinion is it's not. It could be, but here's my theory. If it was the Rode mic, first of all, those things are literally the size of... They're literally like an inch and a half by an inch and a half. They're like literally like this and this, right? So my thing is if it shattered, he was thrown to the ground. Well, maybe not. Maybe it didn't shatter until they got in the car and it dropped on the floor and it got stepped on, right? But my thing is he was carried all the way to the car. Then he got put in the car. And my whole thing is this doesn't look like it's enough glass. Like, this looks like it's too much glass. And you'll see more glass over here too. But to me, this is just a bit too much glass for being a Rode mic, right? I mean, those things are small.
The back, I know some people think that this could be...
And they're getting smaller and smaller. I mean, we don't even know if that's the kind of mic he had on, right? There's many different magnetic mics like that are really good. So
part of his mic that he had on him. And so I just want to say that I do see that all across the back seat, which is interesting. And I know some people are working, Baron Coleman being one of them, working on trying to examine why they told the story about how Brian Harpole was hanging out of the SUV, which wasn't the circumstance when they pulled out. So it's a bit confusing. Hopefully this helps. Here is another photo, and I should have said viewer discretion advised. You know, they had told us this story about how they had so much gauze and so much and all this stuff. We were able to find basically what you see in the corner there that kind of looks like a UPS ticket, like a UPS, yeah, I guess you could say a UPS package ticket. What that is actually Instaclot, and which is essentially instant gauze, and there's just one on the floor. So unless he opened one and then put the rest of the packaging in his bag, which would be unusual, there's only one on the floor there that we could see.
Well, it depends how big that gauze pack was too, because I mean, if they opened it and they put it on him, I mean, you're not gonna. I mean, with the artery, if you have one gauze, I mean, you really are pushing it on there. I mean, the hospital wasn't far away, so.
Hopefully, again, having looked through these photos and taking a look around, if you are one of the people, and this is another side angle, if you are one of the people that has been working on this story, you can, you know, hopefully I'll just see you in the online universe and I can share these photos with you, because again, this now feels important, and I don't trust. I have no understanding as to why Turning Point USA would not share every piece of footage they have. Ticket, like a UPS.
So right here, it looks like this. They brought him in. Boom. Blood. Looks like this is a guy right here too. I should miss that. But looks like this is where he was laying, right? You can kind of see an outline of a shoulder. And I'm wondering if they didn't have him on here and someone was sitting here with him. But you can see he was laying here. And this is where the most excess of blood is coming out. Excessive. And it kind of is less over here. Kind of probably was just spilling out as he was coming in. But, I mean, I'm sure he lost most of his blood, right?
Yeah, I guess you could say a UPS package ticket. What that is actually Instaclot. And
well, I agree. I mean, yes, only having one is very weird, but you guys got to understand too, they were right next to a hospital, right? Like, I can't remember how long the hospital was away. It was like literally right away. Like, they could have just got on the road and got there right away. Plus, you don't know how much gauze come in the pack, but I digress. It doesn't matter. A lot of blood in that car. So, yeah, it is pretty odd if they were packing them up like they said they were. The amount of blood that's in that car is wild.
Right people, you know, which seems to be always be Israel, then you will be protected. Even if you rape people, which we've just learned, you will be protected somehow, redacted at the very least. Now we're going to get into this video. This is a long video. I told you guys how this happened, how I came about this. At the beginning, I didn't suspect anything with Turning Point, obviously. That all changed after I had a phone call with Terrell. I recognized he was acting very strange on the phone, lying, saying he didn't know how to send a file. I was genuinely reaching out to him because I thought I could help clear his name, because people thought he was suspicious for taking down the camera. And I thought he was going to give me a perfectly reasonable reason as to why he did that. Like, oh, I was just instructed by the Fed or something to do that. And I was nervous. Nope. Just excuse after excuse. And I didn't understand why there would be any reason he was lying, saying he didn't know how to send a file, but you run an audiovisual company, Terrell Farnsworth. Now I've learned about his dad and his uncles and his cousins and their relationship with Lori Franzfey dating back to 2013. And it's all not looking good. None of this is looking good. Anyway, let's get to some of this video now. We're going to scrub through this, but we'll show you. Let's get to the first few minutes of this, and then I'm going to show you some other parts. Remember, I'm on screen record here, so we can get to this. And by the way, I think at some point they said they didn't have the footage. They have the footage. Okay, Terrell was at his office when he showed me this, and here we go. You can just play this, and If you guys are just on audio, you'll obviously need to come cut this on video because I can't really describe. Obviously, the question is being asked. This moment right here, we had assumed initially that was his recorder or something. I can confirm, you'll see later, that it's whipping fast and it looks white when it whips fast, but that is in fact his necklace. That is his necklace. And I find that for some reason to be very strange that the necklace goes up first. You can see this obviously. And by the way, there's no gore in this, so you don't really need viewer discretion because, like I said, which kind of broke the internet, the bullet didn't go through. And not only did not go through, didn't even cause any sort of a mess. His perfectly white T-shirt was white until the moment that he hit the ground.
I'm watching this Hunter Kozak guy too. Remember beforehand he was practicing the whole scared look? I'm watching him too.
Skylar, we can get to that portion, I guess, where they can more clearly see the, well, first we can show them the magnet that's still on him. I guess we'll get to that. Yeah, there you go. We can pause there. So they can see that that is his necklace. And it's, I don't know how to describe that. I don't know if you would say it's still on him. There was a lot of story. Everybody had a personal story about Charlie's necklace, which struck me as very odd. Okay. It struck me as odd because, you know, Erica, Frank tells the story about how he came out to get his backpack from the car as the feds were searching it at the hospital. And he saw Charlie's necklace on his backpack, which was in the car. And the feds said, "We were looking for that necklace." Really? Why were the feds looking for the necklace? How did they know he had a necklace? That's very strange. Erica, of course, has told several stories about the necklace and how precious the necklace was to him and how grateful she was that she got the necklace back. I think maybe even Brian Harpole had a story about that. I got to go back and look through it. But everyone's got a story about the necklace. It seems like a strange focus of this day. And so I want to just point that out, that it is the necklace that is hanging. You can see that. And maybe you can see it clearer when it's on my phone. So like I said, I'm happy to send around, but you can at some points even see and observe the chain. Again, this is after Charlie is hit. So you are seeing 0 blood heading backward. That feels wrong to me. That instantly felt wrong to me for what they are telling us took place here, which is a 30-6. It's not even enough to pretend that this was like an event where it already is, I would say, insane to try to say this was some miracle event and, you know, Charlie's neck stopped this. It gets even crazier when you say, but it didn't even cause any blood. Everything you saw was blood that came because an artery got hit and that went forward. So I just want to say that. I will never buy the narrative that a 30-6 is what killed Charlie Kirk. I'm just not accepting that narrative whatsoever. We can continue and we can sort of point out some more portions here. I just keep going through here. Okay, you can see Charlie was not down. He was always also upward, which I know a lot of people know stuff about. We can kind of look close at that. Is that a recorder? The magnet clasp right there. Some people were wondering. Some people thought that the magnet clasp. I know there was a lot of stuff about the magnet clasp. That's it. It's still on him. I know those things are very powerful. And I think John Bray explained to me that the magnet clasp would have stayed on, but what was behind it would have fallen off because he has a theory. And I think I would say it's a well-adapted theory that the Rode microphone is what was shattered in the backseat of the car. And so I wanted to show that as well so you guys could see that. We can keep scrubbing through here. Only, as you can see on his hand, because blood went forward, is the only place that you see any blood drops here. Whipping again, for sure. You can see Dan actually pushes him, by the way. Dan takes him to the ground, which he should do, but I think it's important to note that. You can see what's on the table there, which I think is good too, from what's behind the table, in case there's any clues here. Some people thought that that guy had grabbed something on the table, and I had confirmed to you that he did not, because I saw that. And when he slides across, you want to go back to that slide so they can see that, Sky? Yeah, there's nothing on the table that he grabs. There's a book. It looks like maybe Charlie had a notebook. It looks like, I don't know if there's a way to like slow that down a bit. Yep, there you go. You can see when his hands first go on the table, he does not grab anything. So that is a conspiracy theory that we can shut down. Okay. And you can keep going. Any other points here people might want to know? There we go. You can see kind of what's around him more broadly. Speakers. There we go. Yeah, I think Okay. And then beyond that, we just have some crowd shots, and you can show some of that as well. Like to scrub there. And we're just scrubbing through the parts that are just obviously pause me talking. All right. And so that's it. Yeah, I feel that it is our duty to share that with the public. And because our officials, the feds, politicians, they failed us. They have been so dishonest. This has been the year of really seeing how it really operates inside of DC. Everyone is disgusting left and right. And obviously there are a few exceptions, but altogether it is just...
All right, that's basically it. I wanted to go through that. You guys want to watch that, go ahead and go to her channel and watch it. Yeah, I guess we can scrub the video and see what's up, but
that 4 crew members,
you know, the fact that, you know, we seen behind him, and the way that when the bullet or whatever hit him, the way he moved, it's not 30-06, dude. He would have been not only moving way more intensely, but he would have been like, yeah. There would have been so much, there probably would have been blood on the lens of the camera, right? Like, it would have been rough. So, we're going to get in some Iran war updates. U.S. crew dead after KC-135 plane crashes in Iraq. Just another couple of soldiers who passed away due to a war that was unnecessary and is continuing to go on, even though our stupid president said that we won. It's over, guys. We're going to be done in a few days. We're about to be at 2 weeks here.
were killed when a U.S. military refueling aircraft crashed in Iraq. Rescue efforts, we're told, are ongoing to try to locate the other 2 crew members. The cause of the crash under investigation, but the Pentagon has already said, though, that it was not due to hostile fire or friendly fire. Put that all together, that means at least 11 U.S. troops have now been killed in the war with Iran, a conflict now entering day 14, and all eyes remain on the Strait of Hormuz, that critical shipping channel. Iran has stepped up attacks there on commercial ships. New this morning, as I was just speaking about with the congressman, President Trump is telling Fox News that the U.S. military would escort ships through the strait if needed, but, quote, we're going to see what happens. And he also said that the U.S. is going to be hitting Iran, quote, very hard over the next week. CNN's Natasha Bertrand has new and important reporting live from Washington for us this morning. Natasha, what are you expecting to hear from this briefing, or what questions they're likely to get this morning?
Well, they're likely to get a lot of questions, of course, about this incident that occurred yesterday where a KC-135 fueling tanker crashed after colliding, it appears, with another tanker, which ultimately landed safely in Israel. But there are a lot of questions surrounding CENTCOM's statement, in which they said that this was not due to hostile fire or friendly fire, because an Iranian proxy group based in Iraq has now come out and taken responsibility for downing that aircraft. Of course, they did not provide evidence, but these proxy groups, they do have surface-to-air missiles, and so it's possible, for example, that what happened was these tankers were trying to evade a missile, or perhaps this was just an incident of a mid-air collision of these tankers just flying too closely together. I mean, there's so many possibilities here, but the bottom line is that 4 U.S. service members are now confirmed to be dead. 2 others, apparently the search is ongoing for them. Unclear what their whereabouts and their condition is as of this moment.
I also want to address the tragic loss of our KC-135 refueling aircraft yesterday. The incident occurred over friendly territory in western Iraq while the crew was on a combat mission, and again was not the result, as CENTCOM has said, was not the result of hostile or friendly fire. We're still treating this as an active rescue and recovery operation. As CENTCOM announced this morning, 4 airmen have been recovered, and the Air Force and U.S. Central Command will provide updates as information becomes available. Please keep these brave airmen, their families, friends, and units in your thoughts in the coming hours and days.
Yeah, it's sad, man. It's unfortunate.
Welcome back.
Very unfortunate.
Back, we have breaking news. CENTCOM confirming that 4 U.S. crew members have been killed after their military refueling plane crashed in Iraq yesterday. President Trump now warning of major attacks against Iran coming today, writing this: Iran's Navy is gone, their Air Force is no longer, missiles, drones, and everything else are being decimated, and their leaders have been wiped from the face of the earth. We have unparalleled firepower, unlimited ammunition, and plenty of time. Now, the Department of War's acting comptroller revealed that the U.S. spent about $11 billion last week on Iran strikes. Officials are planning to submit a supplemental defense budget request to Congress in the coming days. Lawmakers confirming my reporting that it could be upwards of $50 billion. We also just heard breaking news from the press conference with Secretary Pete Hegseth, telling us that the son of Khomeini, Mojtaba Khomeini, the supreme leader, has been wounded, likely disfigured. This breaking news you heard on the show before we spoke with the Anthropic spokesperson. Again, Pete Hegseth just told us that Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khomeini, the son of Ayatollah, has been wounded, likely disfigured. Now, there was a lot of conversation about his status yesterday. Now we know the facts from Pete Hegseth. He's been wounded and likely disfigured. Joining me now is Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, a member of the Senate Homeland Security Committee. Senator, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. We have so much to get to with you, and I saw what you said about the Save America Act, and I'm going to get to that. But first, I want to get your take on this war and this breaking news that we just got, that the Ayatollah's son has been wounded and likely disfigured. Give us your take and your assessment of this war in Iran.
Good morning, Maria. Well, unfortunately, the Ayatollahs in Iran have been at war with America for 47 years.
Yeah, I'm just not really trying to hear the same scripted bullshit, right?
Interest to disrupt it fully. We have only seen, for example, Iran plant 10 mines in the Strait of Hormuz, even though it could do more than that. And that's because mines are unpredictable in terms of where they might move with the movement of water, for example. And so Iran will have shot itself in the foot if it were to plant a lot more mines that might be able, that might later disrupt its own trade activity. And so really, I think Iran is quite curtailed and will not be able to sustain the current pace of retaliation.
Lena Khatib from Chatham House, Abbas Aslani joining us from Tehran. Thank you very much to both of you for joining us today. You're watching Al Jazeera. A reminder of our headlines this hour. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says the Iranian leadership is in disarray after the deaths of so many senior figures. Speaking at a briefing at the Pentagon, Hegseth claimed U.S. forces have wiped out much of Iran's Navy and Air Force, along with most of its missile and drone capabilities. Thousands of Iranians, including President Masoud Pezeshkian, have been rallying in the capital, Tehran. They are marking Al-Quds Day, an annual show of support for the Palestinian people, as well as a day of national pride in Iran. Airstrikes were reported along the route of the march, with at least one woman killed. Rescuers are searching for survivors after an Israeli airstrike on a residential neighborhood in Tehran. Israel had issued forced evacuation orders for parts of the capital and Qazvin in the north. It says it is continuing wide-scale attacks across Iran. So U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has described Iran's attempt to block the Strait of Hormuz as an act of desperation. Hundreds of ships remain stranded in the region. Associated Press reporter Inzamam Rashid has more from Dibba in the UAE, just by the Strait of Hormuz.
There are around 1,000 ships still anchored in the water here towards the entrance of the Strait of Hormuz and in the waters around it. 200 of them are oil tankers. You may be able to see some in the distance there, containers just waiting. They've been there for around 8 or 9 days or so since the Strait of Hormuz has been effectively closed by the Iranian military. We know usually this is a very busy stretch of water. 20% of the world's oil passes through it, and around 20 million barrels of oil every single day. There's not been any near those numbers over the last 9 days or so. The only tankers that have managed to get through are, in fact, ones exporting Iranian oil, mainly to China. In fact, Iran has been exporting much more oil than it usually does, and in in normal times when the Strait of Hormuz is open, of course, they have full control here, so they can essentially do whatever they want. And the other ships aren't passing through because there are threats that they will be targeted, and we've seen that over the last few days in particular. Now, the Joint Maritime Information Center has suggested that the threat level in these waters right now is at critical. They've done a risk assessment, and that is their assessment of the waters right now. And we can say that because there have been several attacks by the Iranian military on a number of ships.
The U.S. will temporarily allow countries to buy sanctioned Russian oil and petroleum products. The Treasury Department says the 30-day reprieve will apply only to vessels which are already loaded. The move is the latest attempt by the Trump administration to stabilize energy markets. The conflict in the Middle East has disrupted shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, as you were just hearing. It is crucial to the transport of oil and gas from the Gulf to their consumers and their customers around the world. On Thursday, the U.S. announced the release of 172 million barrels of oil from a strategic reserve. European leaders have raised concern about the purchase of Russian oil due to the ongoing war in Ukraine. In fact, at a joint press conference in Paris, the presidents of both France and Ukraine warned that the U.S. easing sanctions on Russian oil as a result of the Iran war would hurt peace efforts in Europe.
This easing alone by the United States could provide Russia with about $10 billion for the war. This certainly does not help peace.
As for the Europeans and France, the sanctions must be maintained, and the situation in no way justifies lifting them.
The stock indexes on Wall Street have lost some ground in morning trading on Friday as the fallout from the war with Iran keeps pressure on oil prices, destabilizing the global economy. Al Jazeera's Kristen Sulumi joins us live from the New York Stock Exchange. So, Kristen, decipher the markets for us. There have been wild swings in the last few days. They've been very volatile. You're reporting on it. What are you seeing today?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Today, we're seeing the exact opposite of where we were yesterday. Yesterday, the markets closed lower with oil prices up. Today, the markets opened with oil prices down and markets up. A complete reversal. So what we're seeing is a lot of uncertainty, a lot of volatility, as you mentioned, and investors basically reacting to the latest news cycle. And the latest news cycle included the suspension of those sanctions on Russian oil. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, saying that the war is going to plan, downplaying the risks of Iran stopping traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. All of that playing with investors as they make these moves, not dramatic swings up and down, but swings back and forth. We've been seeing it all week. At the same time, we've had some other economic indicators coming through today that show that growth in 2025, the last quarter of 2025, wasn't as strong as initially reported here. Inflationary pressures continue. So all of that is just rumbling along and keeping the markets sort of steady, but very volatile. Big picture here, I think if you pull back, you'll see that oil prices overall have come down from their peak during this conflict, but they're still higher than they were before the conflict started. So that's important. And also another thing that we're seeing with all of these inflationary pressures ongoing, expectations are now that the Federal Reserve will not cut interest rates when it meets next week. That is something that investors were counting on to happen at some point this year. 1 or 2 rate cuts had been priced into their expectations and businesses' expectations going forward. Now that looks like that isn't going to happen. That just is a sign of concern about where the economy is headed.
Yeah, and Donald Trump had called on the head of the Fed to lower interest rates. He did so on his social media again this week. He's often disappointed by the head of the Fed. It looks like he will be disappointed again. Kristen Sulumi reporting from Wall Street. Thank you very much. Markets across Asia remain under pressure as the conflict in Iran and disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz send oil prices climbing. Several governments are now introducing measures to contain the impact. Jack Barton has more from the South Korean capital, Seoul.
Asian stock markets are now in a familiar pattern since the crisis began, with incremental losses every day. particularly in economies like Taiwan, South Korea and Japan, which have exports at the backbone of the economy and are heavily reliant on imports of resources, particularly energy for transport, but of course for petrochemicals to make all of those products. South Korea has initiated a series of interventions, with the president rolling out a price cap today for refiners, though so far no price cap on fuel at the pump at the service stations, though the president saying officials will be keeping an eye out for profiteering. He's also released more than 22 million barrels of reserves to help ease the burden of the refiners. That's coming from the government stockpile. More controversially, he is also rolling out a stabilization fund for the stock market. Controversial amongst market analysts because they say there's already too much government money in the market. It is scaring off investors, and adding more money is just going to create more nerves within the market, not ease them. However, polls repeatedly show.
Thank you to Fun in the Sun for a subscription. God bless you. Welcome to See Me Now, family. And yeah, to you guys who are sitting here saying that Putin's bad for helping Iran, whatever. You guys know how much we did in Ukraine to help Ukraine? You understand why Russia is so pissed off at the United States because of what we do? You know, I'm not saying that it's a good thing what they're doing, but you know, you get what you give, right?
That the majority of South Koreans approve of what the president is doing. Jack Barton, Al Jazeera, Seoul.
Maybe all these leaders who want to go to war and want to do all this stuff like Netanyahu, Trump, all these people who want to go to war, maybe they should be the ones that they all just meet up with the other side, with the, you know, people they want to go to war with, the leaders on the other side, and they should kill each other. Because at the end of the day, most of us citizens don't want to go to war. And you know, it's always the few who want war that send many to go to war that die. And it's sad. It shouldn't be like that.
Threats to shipping vessels in the Middle East are forcing some companies to rethink their routes. A number of ships moving between Asia and Europe are now avoiding the region entirely and diverting around Africa instead. Famita Miller reports from Cape Town.
Disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz are forcing shipping companies to rethink.
Renee, do you not know what BRICS is? Like, seriously.
How goods and energy move around the world. Now, that's where other shipping routes may come in. Instead of moving through the Gulf and onto the Mediterranean via the Suez Canal, some vessels are taking the much longer journey around the southern tip of Africa, the Cape of Good Hope. But the longer route increases travel by 3,000 to 5,000 nautical miles. That's 10 to 14 extra days of travel. And that means higher fuel costs. In total, this detour adds about $1 million in extra costs per trip. Now, while port authorities here at the Cape Town port say they're ready to handle the additional traffic, ships that may take the Cape route are not stopping at these ports. It would take up too much time and cost more. The rerouting might offer some benefits to African ports, but that will be far short of the extra costs for shipping companies and their clients. Famita Miller, Al Jazeera, Cape Town.
Joining us in the studio is Sultan Barakat, Professor of Public Policy at Hamad bin Khalifa University in Qatar. And in London is Andreas Krieg, an Associate Professor at the School of Security Studies at King's College London. Andreas, first question to you. The United States, specifically the Pentagon, the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and the chairman of the U.S. head of the Armed Forces, General Dan Kane, just a short while ago, they were giving another one of their assessments of how their military campaign is going. In their telling of it, it is going extraordinarily well. They said that as of 2 days ago, Iran can no longer manufacture ballistic missiles. They're also saying Iran basically no longer has a navy, no longer has an air force, and its volume of missiles is down 90%, volume of drones down 95%. All the indicators are positive from the U.S. standpoint. Can the U.S. completely defang Iran. Do you believe that?
No, the problem here is time and again, Pete Hegseth is giving you operational tactical metrics of success that are not tied into an overall strategy and a strategic endgame, which we still do not have. It's clearly no longer regime change, but even regime degradation is not a strategy in itself because we don't know when it ends and when it is actually achieved. Some of the metrics are certainly relevant in terms of ballistic missiles taken out, the program itself being degraded, as well as the launches being destroyed. These are important metrics. But the other metrics to do with its armed forces, the Navy, don't really matter. What matters is to what extent can Iran still use the capacity that it has to disrupt global trade, especially around the Strait of Hormuz, and also keep on disrupting the airspace in the Gulf, because that will ultimately have an effect and shape the global economy. All the rest doesn't really matter because none of this really translates into an off-ramp that gets us to a new equilibrium of stability, which is ultimately what we want. We want to get to a point which is more stable, more secure, more prosperous than what we had 2 weeks ago. And I can't see any of that at the horizon.
But Andreas, I mean, Pete Hegseth did kind of mention it when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, which the whole world is looking at. He said we are not going to allow it to remain closed. So he didn't give a timeline for when the U.S. military could guarantee the safe passage of ships, but ultimately that is still his goal. So if I go back to your point, you know, the U.S. is still messaging and signaling that there is going to come a point in time not too far from now when there'll be no military activity from Iran. At least that's what they're saying.
I don't see it at all, actually. The fact is that the U.S. Navy at this point can't even get anywhere close to the Strait of Hormuz without being attacked, and that would be a massive risk for the U.S. Navy, considering that an aircraft carrier could be attacked, and we've seen one of them apparently attacked yesterday. So these are massive risks the U.S. Navy is not going to take. He's made a lot of contradictory statements. He also made a statement that, you know, it's actually open for business. You can go through the Strait of Hormuz. The only problem is you're going to get attacked, which basically in effect means it's not open for business. The problem isn't really the capability that Iran has. It's the trust, the faith that the global economy, that shipping companies and insurance companies have in actually making sure that freedom of navigation is guaranteed. At this point in time, the markets do not trust this to be the case. It doesn't matter if it's 5 missiles or 10 missiles or just 1 missile being shot at a single vessel. The ambiguity about this means that markets will not allow vessels to go through without having insurance in place, and insurers don't want to insure. Effectively, it's closed, and no strategy has been put in place to rectify this. And I haven't seen anything in the American planning that suggests they're thinking about it.
Sultan, can there be a win for the region? Again, I'm just taking the words of the American military and defense leaders right now. And they're saying, look, we're doing so well with our military campaign. All this, everybody's impatient right now. Everybody's nervous. The Strait of Hormuz, energy prices are going up. But don't worry, it's only day 14. We're soon going to get everything reopened and the oil flowing through. That remains our goal. Is there a scenario, in your view, within a day, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, where the oil is going through the Strait of Hormuz and the neighbors actually see a win with maybe a defanged and demilitarized Iran?
Well, I think those messages are now being put out in preparation maybe to call an end to the direct attack on Iran. And I know this sounds a bit crazy, but maybe this is the way the Americans operate and the way they're driven by the material gain. This has been a real problem for them. Now, the difficulty for Trump is this, that even if he has now decided that he's had enough, he cannot resupply, he's not interested in taking it any further, his partner, Netanyahu, has not had enough. And Netanyahu is known for his murderous, ruthless attitude, and we now see him spreading into Lebanon. He's not had enough blood within Iran as of yet, and he will not allow Trump to...
Make sure you guys like the stream, man. Show some love and support. I appreciate you guys for being here today. God bless. Happy Friday. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button with notification bell. We're on the road to 20,000 subscribers. Double tap your screen. If double tapping doesn't work, hit the 3 dots in the top right corner and hit the like button that way. Show some love and support.
Really stop this war. And what I fear
was asked about this at the end of his press conference, because this is a joint U.S.-Israeli military campaign. And he said, he made it quite clear in his answer, he said, we decide, meaning the United States decides when the United States stops fighting. We're not on Israel's timeline.
Well, Originally, maybe this is how they started, and the hope on the Israeli side was that they will drag the Gulf states into direct confrontation with Iran. Then the U.S. will announce that they've had enough, they're out of here, this is your regional problem, you deal with it, and so on. They were disappointed by a number of issues. One of them was the fact that the Gulf states did not retaliate back. Also, they were disappointed that the Iranian people did not, there was no uprising as they predicted at the start. And still, Iran has many cards of pressure. I think the Hormuz Strait is only one. And of course, they don't need huge, sophisticated technology to disrupt the trade. You know, there are millions of small boats that can go around the Hormuz Strait and disrupt the movement. And they still we haven't heard yet from the Houthis and the Bab el-Mandeb, you know, in Yemen. So there are, I think, other issues that are coming, and the Iranians will probably use the Hormuz Strait and the return to normality as part of their bargaining for longer-term security and stability arrangements with the United States. But in terms of...
So you're talking about bargaining and negotiation. You think ultimately that's where it's headed?
I think so. I think after the latest bad news for the U.S. in terms of casualties, which is very natural in the scale of this operation, you know, accidents will happen, and there will be more accidents to happen. What is really at question now is whether Trump will tolerate the Netanyahu factor in terms of human loss. If this goes any further, we'll start hearing about major civilian casualties in Iran and whether Trump wants to be a partner in the blood of those people or not. Netanyahu does not mind. He does not care. He's already indicted. He's wanted around the world for war crime. He's going to continue. But the question is for Trump whether he's willing to go down that route any further, and whether he has achieved enough in terms of his immediate objectives. He has shown that he reduced the capability of Iran, which is fine. He has now control over the oil flow in a certain way. And I think one of his main objectives is to make sure that Europe is now supplied almost exclusively by the United States, which is something that's happening. And he's allowing other nations to take resources from elsewhere, including Russia. And all of this, unfortunately, is happening at the expense of us here in the Gulf.
Andreas, I'm going to have to run, but I do want to ask you one last quick one. You heard Sultan saying, in his view, this ends with some kind of bargain with Iran. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. There is no way that the Straits of Hormuz will get open or be opened again by a unilateral declaration by Trump to say, mission accomplished, we're moving away, that's the end of the war. Iran will dictate the terms. Iran will say how and...
You know, Renee, I'd really like to know if you're, you know, if you're a service member, if you're in the army, but you know, you can just lie over the chat anyway with the, you know, with no proof. So
when the straits will be opened up, and we're seeing already loads of other states making deals bilaterally with Iran to get their vessels through. So from India, Pakistan, Turkey, the Gulf states are negotiating as well. I think this will be probably the way forward, where the Americans will be at the end of a long queue of countries who will already have arrangements with Iran to open the strait up. The strait will unlikely open up for everyone at the same time.
Well, actually, I'm reminded now that Iran did message yesterday and signal to the world, by the way, some tankers are welcome to go through the Strait of Hormuz. Just get in touch with us. That's the message they were putting out yesterday, to your point, Andreas. Thank you very much to both of you. Sultan Barakat with us in the studio, Andreas Krieg from London. Thank you. The U.S.-Israeli attacks on Iran have had effects far beyond the conflict itself. Satellite-based navigation here in the Gulf has become unreliable, both on the ground.
I don't support Iran. I don't support Israel. We need to be America first, and this war is not America first. If Israel wants to fight its own war, why doesn't it go fight its own damn war?
And in the air. That's because of military jamming and spoofing of GPS signals. Colin Baker explains how it works.
Position, direction, time. 3 data points that tell the pilot of a plane or the captain of a ship where they are. And right now, here in this region, this data is being disrupted like never before. Look at these maps. One shows ship navigation interference across the entire Arabian Gulf. Another shows the same for aircraft. There's interference everywhere. Pilots, captains, and even our phones read their location from satellites. This is GPS, the Global Positioning System, or one of its equivalents. Now, that satellite sends a signal at 100 watts from 20,000 kilometers away. That's about the same as looking at a light bulb from 20,000 kilometers. By the time it reaches the ground, it's a tiny fraction of its original strength. A strong broadcast on the same frequency overwhelms it. So interfering with GPS is not only doable, it's becoming a lot more common than you think. Interference from outside sources makes ships appear in unusual locations. Ships in the Gulf have appeared inside Iran or as far away as West Africa. They look like they're spinning in little circles on land. Even personal devices here in Qatar have been confused. It's dangerous, disorienting, and from an insurance or legal perspective, it means shipping logs might include stops in sanctioned countries. And it's increasing. The insurance firm Lloyd's of London says nearly 4,000 jamming events affected nearly 3,000 ships here in the past week. Windward AI, a monitoring platform, says the prevalence and number of vessels affected is now unprecedented. Now, it's not only jamming. Spoofing is another form of interference, broadcasting deliberately false GPS data. Some defense systems and some weapons use spoofing to deceive adversaries, but civilian planes pick it up too. And it's so common, there's now a standard practice to manage it. Commercial pilots flying near Ukraine and Western Russia, for instance, turn off their satellite navigation systems on every flight. And they're starting to do so here as well. If they don't, false signals shift their maps, change their clocks, or even tell them to make a sharp turn suddenly. These navigation systems were built to make aviation and shipping safer. If they stop working, what else is there? Well, a compass and a gyroscope to find position, direction, and time, and a radio to communicate it. Experts say the next generation of captains may have to look to the past to get around in the future.
Iran's closure of the Strait of Hormuz has stranded hundreds of commercial vessels with their crews trapped on board. That has upended the lives of thousands of Filipino sailors who form the backbone of the commercial shipping industry. Jamila Lindigan reports from Manila.
Around 1 in every 4 seafarers in the world is from the Philippines. They work on ships that carry oil, food, and goods across the world, including through critical choke points like the Strait of Hormuz, where the Iran war is disrupting transit. It often takes 4 to 5 years of study at a maritime academy. Training centers like Mariana Academy in Manila has prepared thousands of sailors for international shipping lines. For many of them, it will lead to some of the world's most dangerous sea lanes. Rodolfo Dayandante has been working on shipping vessels for nearly 20 years. He says there is a reason Filipino maritime workers are sought after.
Being a consultant-oriented, you give us something to do, and we will do it with excellence for you, okay? And we don't compromise safety.
Louie Tarantan hopes to follow the same path.
I've always wanted to become a seafarer. I work hard to improve myself. I want to help my family after everything they've done for me.
But speak to many Filipinos and they will tell you something striking. This is not just about providing for their families, it is also about seeing the world and being part of it. And in doing so, Filipinos have become more than just migrants. They are now a vital part of the global workforce.
The Philippines is thousands of kilometers from the Middle East, and it may not control the oil that passes through these waters. But its sailors are right in the middle of an escalating conflict. Jamela Alindogan, Al Jazeera, Manila.
Let's take a look at other global stories now. Cuba's president, Miguel Diaz-Canel, says his government has held talks with the U.S. to discuss its blockade against the country. It's cut off Cuba's oil supplies from Venezuela and Mexico, crippling the Cuban economy and triggering a humanitarian crisis in the country. President Diaz-Canel says talks with Washington are aimed at finding solutions to the bilateral differences between the two countries. No fuel has entered Cuba in 3 months. The gradual decline of diesel reserves and fuel have made the electrical grid increasingly unstable in Cuba. Well, our Latin America editor, Lucia Newman, is reporting on this from Washington, D.C. Lucia, Donald Trump was able to bring about what the U.S. and his administration have called behavior change in Venezuela earlier this year. So a former enemy country of the U.S. now working with the U.S. That was, of course, after and on account of the Maduro raid. Could something like that happen with Cuba? I'm not talking about a raid on the Cuban president, but could they affect behavior change in Cuba? That's what Donald Trump wants.
Well, that's what he wants. Cuba is, I would say, a harder nut to crack, perhaps, than Venezuela. They say that they are, and they have recognized today for the very first time that there are talks taking place with the United States, but they say it's about resolving their common differences, not about behavior change. Now, keep in mind that today, Díaz-Canel, the president of Cuba, also announced that they were releasing more than 50 prisoners after talks, he says, with the Vatican, that this was a gesture to the Vatican, but not to the United States. There is still wiggle room. There is room for some things to change, opening up economic possibilities, opening up tourism for the United States. But actually changing the political system of the country or letting, as Donald Trump says, a friendly takeover of Cuba take place is another thing altogether. We'll have to see. But the Cubans right now are not anxious to do that. And in fact, Díaz-Canel contradicted President Trump, who says that these talks have been taking place for a long time and that they're well advanced. He says that they're just beginning, that it's going to be a slow process and that they'll have to see what happens.
Lucia Newman reporting from Washington. Thank you very much. The Afghan government has accused Pakistan of targeting civilian homes in overnight airstrikes. A spokesman says that military aircraft bombed Kabul and the southern province of Kandahar, killing women and children. This is the latest flare-up in months of hostilities between the neighbors. Pakistan says Afghanistan supports armed groups that carry out attacks on its territory, an accusation which Kabul denies. Ukraine has struck one of the largest crude oil hubs in Russia. A large fire broke out at the Tikhoretsk oil depot located in the south. Russian officials say that the fire has now been extinguished. The hub is a major oil transshipment and pumping station supplying Russia's southern regions and Black Sea exports. Displaced Palestinians who fled Israeli strikes have returned to Gaza City to find their temporary shelters destroyed. The Israeli army bombed their tents on Wednesday. Israel has continued to carry out attacks across the Strip, despite agreeing to a U.S.-brokered ceasefire last year. The health ministry says Israeli strikes have killed more than 650 Palestinians since the truce deal came into effect in early October.
We returned and found everything destroyed. We have no tents, nothing. Our lives are destroyed. They destroyed us in Shuja'iyya and our house was gone. We left only with the clothes we had on. We did not grab any clothes. Here now it's the same thing. We have no clothes and nothing left. No food or drinks. Even our children, they're all young.
In Ethiopia, more than 100 people have been killed in landslides triggered by days of heavy rain. Regional officials say that they happened in several areas of the Gamo zone earlier this week, and at least 50 people are missing. That wraps up this news hour. We'll take a very short break, and I'll be right back with more world news on Al Jazeera in a moment.
All right, let's check out some other updates if there is any. Sorry, guys.
Now, on the subject of the Iranians, we have President Trump. He is in front of Marine One. Let's listen to Chopper Talk.
What?
So here we...
Ma'am Donnie's talking a good game, but watch, he's going to bring down New York, dude.
So again, Mayor Mamdani moving closer to making his progressive dream a reality. His campaign promise to make New York City home to the nation's highest minimum wage is now headed to City Council for approval. If passed, minimum wage would nearly double in the Big Apple by 2030, jumping from $17 an hour today to $30 an hour. Mom and pop shops say that with already sky-high rent and rising costs, this pay hike could be the final straw and force them to cut jobs. Larry Kudlow, explain why minimum wage does, or I'm assuming in your opinion, does not work.
I think he should have gone right to 50.
What a cheapskate.
You know what I mean? I mean, why stop at 30?
Yeah, I mean, dude, Mamdani is just so dumb, dude. Like, I don't think you can even get any dumber than him. He's just gonna ruin New York, dude. All these people who want to come to these great cities that were once great, but they're falling, and they want to bring these progressive ideas and all this other stuff. Like, dude, like, you're fucked, dude. Sorry.
No, that's what I would have done. But I mean, look, these guys are working off margins that are very small. Urban stores. I mean, except for some of the fancy.
Like, could you imagine being like a bodega owner or a small store, mom and pop store, whatever, owner of your own business, and this guy gets in the office, and you have a business that makes a certain amount of money. You were doing good, then they up minimum wage again, and you're still kind of doing all right. Now they bring it to 30, dude. It's just gonna have to be the owner that works there, dude. You know.
Europeans.
People really don't think things through. Like, they're like, oh yeah, $30 minimum wage is great, but they don't understand the economics of it, or they don't understand how it could fuck up your business, or how it could just mess up things, like make prices go higher and all this other stuff. Like, people just don't understand.
Stores, but your basic mom and pop store.
Oh, I do think for myself, big slime. Trust me, every single time I see the Canal Street and the way that the streets are starting to look in New York, I'm just like, man, what a tragedy. 50 years ago, New York looked awesome. Now it's starting to look like a third world country with skyscrapers, man. And if you do live in New York, I hope you enjoy it, bro. Go to Canal Street and get yourself some fake Gucci and a fake Rolex, man. Go help out those scammers out there who are just trying to make an honest living, right? I mean, yeah.
Doesn't have much of a profit margin, so you're going to have to pay labor. It's hard to they're not going to have the productivity gains to keep unit labor costs down and justify it. I mean,
do you understand food costs? Do you understand labor costs? Do you understand repair costs? Do you understand rent? Don't think you do, bro.
Let the market should set the wage price. The market should set the clearing price of whatever goods or services you're buying. It's just crazy stuff. It's socialist stuff, but you know.
But what fascinates me, Brian, is that the messaging works. People hear higher wage and they think yes.
It's because the majority of people don't understand this stuff. The average Joe out here who's working, like the up and coming 18-year-olds and all these other people, they don't understand what that. It sounds good, but it's not good, right? So if food costs a lot, if the rent is a lot, and all this other stuff, he just said it should be set by the market, right? So if the market's high and everything's expensive, you're not going to be able to pay your employees as much because you need to worry about being able to stock your shelves, pay rent, and have repairs. People that are just average people here, oh, $30 an hour, I would so love to have that job. But they don't understand how much it's going to bleed the business owner, right? If it's set by markets and say food cost is low, repair costs aren't that bad, rent isn't that bad, then they can have what? Higher wages, right? Appreciate you, Zach.
Power to the people, but they don't understand the ripple effects. That then, if McDonald's has to pay $30 an hour instead of 17, the price of my hamburger also doubles because they can't afford labor costs unless they raise income. And then I get paid $30 an hour, but then the price of the burger that I want to buy has also doubled. But that message...
And the prices everywhere else are going to go up. Everywhere else. Walmart. Anywhere. Prices are going to go up. New York is in for it, dude. In for it. All these liberals and all these people who wanted them in office, like Sneeko, How he was saying, oh, I like Mamdani just because he said he wouldn't go to Israel. If you're voting for him just because he said he would rather stay in New York and be with New Yorkers than go to Israel, you're an idiot. Okay? Dumb. Stupid. Special education. It's not going to work, bro. It's just not. And I can't even believe he got in office. Can't believe it.
Gene doesn't sound as good, and so people don't understand that.
I feel like this appeals to the NYU student who's taken like two quasi-Marxist economics classes,
Right.
and they think this works, but they haven't tested it in the real world, so they're all in on Zoran. But you know, we talk about, so okay, what is this going to do? And we have the AI conversation. Will AI kill jobs or create jobs? And I think it's going to create jobs overall, but the area where I do think it will team up with policy.
It's going to create jobs and kill jobs.
And kill jobs is this. Yes, there are moms and pops that may not be able to employ AI, but then you've got that whole layer of retail where it's actually like national or multinational retail, and they have operations here. And they see this, and they've got 10 companies with an AI solution breathing down their neck saying, if you don't want to pay $30 an hour, I've got a way for you to do inventory and stocking and tracking and customer service, and you don't need any people. And AI is going to get a toehold, and I don't blame AI for doing this, but you know that their salespeople are calling these companies right now and saying, we can help you avoid the cost of this. And those companies are going to say 100%. Yes. And Zoran's going to blame AI, and he's going to want to regulate AI. And the problem isn't AI, it's you.
Jackie.
So in the traditional scenario that you're describing with McDonald's, this shows that Zoran knows nothing about economics. I mean, I don't know how many more examples of that we actually need to know that he knows nothing. But you raise the prices and you actually make the affordability, you raise the wages, the prices go up, you make the affordability crisis worse. But this is really interesting what you're talking about, the AI solution sort of around it. In either scenario, it's a terrible scenario because if everybody's using AI, then you're killing jobs and people have no income. Yeah. So they're not actually sitting and thinking through this. But I go back to some of our sort of spitballing around about this in the beginning, which is that if we have to test some of these ridiculous scenarios to understand how stupid they actually are, then that's what we're in for.
Well, can I just raise one point? There's something missing from this. The concept of profits, okay, which is alien to socialists. But if you're profitable, let's say your average labor cost is $10, and you might be profitable. All right, you might go to 15, might go to 20, but at some point you hit the break-even point. Okay, the marginal cost exceeds the marginal revenue, so you have to fire them.
Right.
All right. Without profits, you have to lay off workers.
Or close your doors, right? I mean,
or just go out of business altogether. Yeah. I don't think that Mandami or his socialist pals, I mean, it's not
definitely
their
doesn't
lexicon.
care about that.
Right.
Profit is evil to them. It's evidence of evil, actually.
You were but if talking, you don't make money, you can't stay in business.
You were talking about what will be the reality check that will stop it. It's going to be businesses closing down. We were talking during the break about how wonderful eating is in New York City, and not only in people's houses, but these wonderful restaurants. They have, to be specific, I looked it up, they have a profit margin of 2 to 6%. Yeah, most restaurants, 2 to 6%. And they want to double the labor costs. Labor is about 30 to 40% of the cost of having a restaurant. So they want to double. This would just put about half of the restaurants in New York out of business.
Yeah, it's crazy too. And what they're trying to do is take away the middle class. So, you know, you're not going to have a person who is coming in to do sales or coming in to do the count or coming in to put away truck or coming in to, you know, take orders or all that stuff. They're trying to take it away. And imagine how many people that before, when prices were down, were working a job like that, were able to afford homes. Even when I was 13, when I started working when I was first legally able to. Before that, I was working on, you know, odd jobs. Even from what I was making back then, and this is up here, I guess prices are rent's a little bit cheaper and everything else. You are able to live a good life. Able to save up good money, you know, whatever. Just by working these odd jobs, taking orders at a counter and maybe getting a second job, whatever. Now, dude, you gotta have like 3 jobs, especially if you're living in places like California, New York, other places where rent is high, you know. And at the end of the day, that is that dream and that ability is getting to be smaller and smaller and smaller and unachievable, right? Why would they want to replace everything with machines? That's just something I really don't understand. Oh, to save money, it makes it easier, whatever, dude. And the other thing it's going to do too is make people more introverted, right? Because we're used to going to a store, having people check us out, having people take our order, having that human interaction. People who are janitors, people who are this, people who are that. We're having those interactions. We're being a society that gets to know each other. And back when we ran a store here, we would have regulars, and you know who your regulars are, and you get really close to them, and you understand them, and you know their order, you know who they are and what they want when they come in, and that's just all gonna start coming to an end, and soon it's gonna be the people who don't make much and the people who make a lot, and then the middle is gonna be AI. The middle is the shit that would make you able to get a second job or make you able to have more money is gonna be replaced. So what job will you have? You'll most likely be a janitor. You'll most likely have to come up with your own business when it comes to either cleaning yards, mowing, moving things, building things, plumbing, whatever. Um, and it's just sad. It's sad to see that go away, because I think the core most important thing in society and in humanity alone is being able to go out in public or out in your community and interact, right? Going out in your community and going places and getting to know people, and when you go out in the community, everyone knows you and you know everyone, and having those interactions is such a core piece to being a person and being a human and being happy in life. Knowing you have a connection to your community, knowing that you can go out and, oh, I'm gonna go to this store and this person knows me, maybe she's there, she can give me a discount, or maybe she's there and we'll talk, or maybe he's there and that's my bro. um the fact that our people are trying to get rid of a lot of our jobs to make computers do it is just unfathomable to me. And if I was the president or I was anywhere else, I would regulate it to death, because the number one most important thing to us as humans is interaction, community, family, a sense of importance, right? Working your way up the ladder. This is all a part of the quote unquote American dream, but in reality it's the every part of life, right? Some kids won't know what it's like when they are able to work to go out and get a simple job and save money because it's taken by AI. It's going to make the workspace much more competitive.
Flat. There's a wonderful guy named Zane Tankel, who owned more Applebee's in New York area than anybody else. He owned 40 Applebee's. We used to have him on a lot. He's a wonderful guy. He said, to your point, Brian, this is what this will first do is to get people to immediately switch to all the electronic, all the AI devices that they could possibly get their hands on, fire as many people as possible. So yes, people will be out of work, but eventually a lot of companies can't afford all the AI solutions. They can't afford all the tech solutions that would allow them to avoid paying people twice as much as they were. So they're going to go out of business. And New York will go down in quality. The quality of life in this city will suffer, not only for the residents like us, but for the tourists who come.
That's what they want. They don't want us here, David. That's the conclusion that I've come to.
They need the tourists.
They want
at least,
a low
they won't come
quality of
either.
life, and that is their dream of what
Larry's
a
going to
beautiful
Highland
city
Park.
looks like.
Esso.
Don't even get me
Esso,
started.
Exxon, Esso. Remember the Esso service station?
You remember, you know what else is going to happen when all this happens and jobs are scarce or what? Crime rate's going to go up. People in New York think the crime rate's already bad. Yeah. Try it when people are struggling to get food. Right? Try it then. Let's see. I had this Epstein video from Law and Crime I wanted to look at here. they're starting to raid his ranch at finally, right? They're already looking at it, all this other stuff, but they're
His
actually
account.
taking action on it. And I bet you everything's already hidden.
Richard Kahn.
Yeah, no
the
problem, Stacy. We were thinking the same thing.
Man, the man who coordinated payments, finances, purchases, managed his estate. He was in the hot seat, grilled by the House Oversight Committee on what exactly he did and what did he know about regarding the deceased sex offender. We're going to get into his responses. We're also going to get into the responses from lawmakers, try to understand what information he shared, as well as what the Epstein files reveal about him. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Now, as we're talking Epstein's money, man, let me tell you something. If you owe the IRS more than $25,000 in back taxes, you're going to want to listen up. Does the thought of your back taxes keep you up at night wondering if the IRS is about to levy your bank account or garnish your paycheck? That is where Tax Hardship Center comes in. This is the #1 tax relief firm in the nation with an A+ rating that has settled hundreds of millions in tax debt for people just like you. Don't call the IRS yourself and poke the bear. Don't do that. The experts at Tax Hardship Center can find out where you stand without you even lifting a finger, and they will lay out a plan to fight for the best possible resolution. You can even start your free no-obligation consultation right from your phone. So if you owe back taxes, go to taxhardshipcenter.com/taxhelp now or call 877-644-6939 right now. Unforgivable things that he did to women and girls. My relationship with Epstein was strictly on a professional level. That is the theme of a big day on Capitol Hill that happened yesterday. Jeffrey Epstein's money man testified in front of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. Richard Kahn. You want to talk about a name that appears over and over and over again in the Epstein files? Epstein's accountant, worked with him since 2005, seemingly managed his financial affairs, handled wire transfers, signed checks, taxes, distributed money on Epstein's behalf. Richard Kahn, you type that in, appears over 50,000 times in the Epstein library on the DOJ website. Now, this is somebody that the committee obviously wanted to interview because they always say, follow the money. What is the connective tissue? Now, to give you an idea, this is the guy whose name came up when we discussed Epstein having secret storage units. Remember, we had that whole discussion. Did Epstein purposely direct all these materials to the storage units so they weren't on his properties? So if authorities were going to search his properties, they couldn't find these things. We actually did a full sidebar episode on what appeared to be in one of those properties. But how about this? Richard Kahn apparently sending this note to Epstein in 2012. It says, "We had a lot of excess equipment, furnishings, and supplies at 301 in trying to preserve as much usable stuff left behind, such as computers, supplies, etc. I will need some time to get rid of it. If you do not care where the stuff ends up, let me know, and apps can be ready sooner." Like apartments can be ready sooner, I assume that's what it means. How about this? Regarding items in what seems to be the Palm Beach Island garage, sent from Kahn to Epstein, 2015. Janusz would like to review with you as he believes some items, such as old computers, once wiped, can be discarded. Now, Kahn told the committee in his reportedly 7-hour deposition that despite being Epstein's accountant, working with this guy for years, serving as the co-executor of his estate. I mean, ABC News reported that Epstein was going to pay this guy $25 million, that Kahn said, quote, he was not aware of the nature or extent of Epstein's abuse of so many women until after Epstein's death. Apparently told the committee in his opening statement, had I learned of any of his horrific behavior, I would have quit work immediately. We tracked the expenditures as meticulously as possible, including gifts by Epstein to women and men. The gifts represent a very small fraction of Epstein's spending. I did not see them as red flags for abuse or trafficking. And he emphasized he, quote, did not see anything that suggested to me that Epstein was abusing or trafficking women or otherwise acting unlawfully. While Epstein was alive, I never observed any sexual abuse or trafficking of women and never received a complaint either by one of Epstein's victims or anyone else of such abuse or trafficking. But he did admit the following, and I think this is key. However, it pains me to think, and I deeply regret, that I may have unknowingly assisted Epstein in any way. Now, one of the key moments of his testimony, and we don't have the full transcript or the videos of his testimony, at least at the time of this recording, but it comes from what the Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer told the media, told reporters, quote, he confirmed, meaning Kahn confirmed, there were 5 clients that paid money to Epstein, and that was Les Wexner, Glenn Dubin, Steve Sinofsky, the Rothschilds, and Leon Black. We've already deposed Wexner, and we're going to be deposing Leon Black very soon. These were people that made significant transactions. So what Khan said is he was under the impression that Epstein made his money as a tax advisor and a financial planner. So these were the 5 people that transferred significant sums of money to Epstein. Now, again, to be clear, just because if they did financial work with him or had financial transactions with him doesn't mean that they participated in any criminality or had any knowledge of any criminality. Although I'll circle back to those names in just a minute. By the way, regarding President Donald Trump, who we've talked about a lot, we also know that his name appeared in the Epstein files, most notably in a collection of uncorroborated allegations of sexual abuse. Comer said that Khan, quote, had never seen any type of transaction to Trump or anyone in his family. However, I will tell you, Representative Subramaniam said to reporters that Khan told the committee that the Epstein estate did reach a financial settlement with someone who had made accusations that were related to Donald Trump. Oh, and he also said that it came out former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak had financial dealings with Epstein. Now you go back to Richard Khan, okay? Back to potential legal liability. I have to go to what Representative Robert Garcia said after Khan's deposition. Quote, Epstein's massive sex trafficking ring would not have been possible without the consistent payments and services of his longtime accountant. He said that Khan made some important admissions. Quote, he helped facilitate a fake marriage between 2 women connected to Epstein, admitted to impersonating Epstein in communication with banks, and confirmed Epstein spoke about Donald Trump a lot. It's not credible that he had no knowledge of Epstein's activities, and his testimony today only raises more questions. So is he suggesting that Khan wasn't telling the truth, that Khan committed perjury, that he engaged in fraud-related crimes, banking crimes? By the way, I should tell you that CBS has reported that Khan and Epstein's lawyer Darren Indyke actually settled a lawsuit regarding fake marriages where you had foreign-born victims of Epstein would marry a
Senate Democrats blocking yet another motion to get the Department of Homeland Security funded and open. Today marks day 28 of this shutdown of the DHS. This is the 4th time since February that Democrats have voted to block any legislation. They are still demanding major reforms to ICE and border protection, even though ICE is already funded. But the threat of Iranian terrorist cells is rising across the country in retaliation to Operation Epic Fury. President Trump says he has eyes on all of them. Watch this.
If they try to hit us back, have you been briefed about how many Iran sleeper cells there could be inside the U.S. right now?
I have been, and a lot of people came in through Biden with this stupid open border. But we know where most of them are. We've got our eye on all of them, I think. They came in through the open border policies of sleepy Joe Biden, and we've got our eyes on all of them. But the war itself is being prosecuted at a level that nobody's seen before. It's pretty amazing to watch.
Just yesterday, a naturalized citizen from Lebanon rammed his vehicle into a synagogue near Detroit. The suspect was shot and killed by security officers, while a previously convicted ISIS supporter opened fire at Old Dominion University, killing an ROTC instructor. Joining me now is former House Speaker and Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich. Newt, thanks very much for being here. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. So much to get into, but let's start with this DHS shutdown. We've got threats rising that are, upsetting people because they are threats to the homeland, America, and yet the Department of Homeland Security is still shut down for 28 days. Your reaction?
Well, I mean, first of all, you have Democrat partisanship overwhelming the patriotism. So they're doing things that make sense to them as partisans, but they're it's very unpatriotic to be stopping the Department of Homeland Security when we have an active, clear war, a real threat. The leading supporter of terrorism since 1984, every year, the State Department has designated Iran as the leading supporter of state terrorism in the world. So for us to be in the middle of this fight and have the Democrats be literally unpatriotic from the standpoint of the country. Forget Donald Trump, forget the Republicans, just from the standpoint of the country, when you have a threat like this, to behave this partisan. But there's a second part to this whole thing. They're holding the country hostage. I urge every person who stands in line at the airport for unnecessary hours to use that spare time to call their Democratic congressmen, their Democratic senators, to call into talk radio, and to make clear that they understand they are being held hostage. Every air traveler is being held hostage. Domestic airlines are being held hostage. They're going to suffer both because of higher oil prices, aviation fuel prices, and they're going to suffer because of the chaos at the airports. So you're watching the Democrats. I literally, as a historian, don't remember either party being this methodically unpatriotic in the way in which they're dealing with what is a national crisis, and one which could become much worse very fast.
Well, and it is becoming much worse when you look at the cost of this. I mean, look, this morning we've got a new threat from Iran. They're going to start targeting U.S. banks. But already people are watching oil prices spike out of control. I mean, look at oil this morning, which, of course, crude is sort of looking to be stabilizing right now, but it's at $95 a barrel. Brent has already hit 100. It is hovering around $100 a barrel right now. Iran's new supreme leader claims the Strait of Hormuz must remain effectively closed to affect the enemy, right? I mean, you've got Brent and crude down a fraction this morning, but even you posted this on X. You say Iran's strategy in this conflict is clearer than many people realize. It is not about defeating the United States militarily. It is about disrupting oil and forcing global pressure for a truce. Yes. And if we see this kind of move going into the midterm elections, this is going to affect even more. And that is the Republican leadership, is it not?
Sure. Look, there are two parts to this. First, the goal has to be to replace the religious dictatorship, which has said openly since 1979 that it's at war with the United States. The Iranian parliament just weeks ago was chanting death to America. The Iranian revolution has literally killed Americans, killed 200 and some Marines in Lebanon, for example. So this is a very dangerous government, and we cannot end this war without replacing it, or we will have been defeated and they will go right back to being dangerous. But second, the center of gravity in this war is the Straits of Hormuz. It's not Tehran. If the Navy and the Air Force can intervene and maybe the Coast Guard, and can stop the effort to close the straits, which Reagan did in the 1980s when I was a member of Congress. If we can reopen the straits, the price of oil will collapse, everyone will be relatively happy, and the American people, as long as we don't put in ground troops, the American people will accept whatever it takes to eliminate a country. Remember, the Iranians had their way. The threat right now would be nuclear weapons taking out an American city. That's what's at stake. And when I watch these people who want Iran to win, every time you see somebody on TV who talks about a truce, they're talking about the Iranians winning. And I cannot understand the logic that says, why don't we let our mortal enemy get nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles? Because sooner or later, they will use them, and they will use them against American cities.
So you have a confidence that the U.S. can actually go in there in the straits and reverse this to try to secure the straits. I mean, today, oil companies are worried that there's more security needed. They don't know if drones are going to come out of nowhere from Iran and take their tankers down.
Look, I mean, one of the things I've suggested is to go back to World War I and World War II and look at the use of what were called Q ships. And a Q ship was actually kind of a merchant ship, looked like a merchant ship, except it was very heavily armed and it was designed to lure in German submarines and destroy them. Well, our version, because of the nature of the threat here, we ought to pick up, 20 or 30 or 40 of the derelict tankers and simply station them directly off the Iranian coast to form a shield in effect so that we can move the rest of the vehicles, the rest of the tankers, the real tankers, behind them, and force the Iranians to come out in the open and just accept that for 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, we're going to have a real campaign. I mean, I remember in the 1980s when I was a congressman and Ronald Reagan was president, at one point they hit an American warship with an Iranian mine. And a couple of days later, Reagan took out half the Iranian Navy in 48 hours to send a signal. And we were very tough about this. We also faced mines. You're always going to face mines in the region, and the Navy and the Coast Guard should be prepared to go in. Mines are mostly passive, and they should go in there and take them out.
So, Newt, let me switch gears, get your take on how all of this is going to impact the upcoming November midterm elections. Former White House Chief of Staff Rahm Emanuel is working with Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, wanting the Democrats to frame the narrative on, quote, how President Trump's military adventurism is worsening Americans' economic security. That's what Rahm and Hakeem are putting together here. Some strategists tell me that the Republicans have got to get this fixed in terms of the price of oil, the perception of the impact of this war by July, or face a serious impact, negative. Your reaction, and what do you think the Republicans need to do to ensure that the American people understand the mission of Operation Epic Fury and understand that perhaps this impact on oil is temporary?
Well, let me start with Rahm's language. If you think defending American cities, stopping nuclear weapons in the hands of terrorists, doing what is necessary to protect American lives, if you think that's adventurism, you're probably a left-wing Democrat. But if you're a realistic person and you realize what would happen with one nuclear weapon on one American city, the scale of the disaster, the human suffering, then frankly, you're not part of the Rahm Emanuel formula. Second, Republicans can win this campaign. George H.W. Bush was 19 points down in May and won by 8 points on Election Day. And it was very simple. We have to convince the American people that their lives personally will be better off, their families will be better off, and their country will be better off with our policies. And one of the challenges for the Trump team is they have so many good policies, whether it's the tax on tips, or it's that they cut, or it's the cut in the tax on Social Security, or it's the increase in the child tax credit. I mean, just go on. It's an amazing list of things that the president has done on a wide front. The problem is our communications is about 10% as effective right now. So they've got to focus very heavily, I think, right now in communicating what the choices are and making people see clearly that down one road with the Democrats is enormous danger to the country and a terrible long-term future. Down the other road, you have people who will protect America and people who will, in fact, provide greater prosperity, greater take-home pay, lower cost health insurance. I mean, there are a lot of things Trump is doing that aren't being communicated very effectively.
I agree with you. I agree with the communication issues. You're right. Speaker.
All right, guys, I'm going to get off. Appreciate you guys for being here today. I got some stuff I got to do tax-wise and whatnot. And I also have this new editor thing that I'm using, which I just got done loading. So I got like a bunch of clips I'm going to get out. Appreciate you guys for being here. Much love to everybody today, man. I hope you guys have a good day. God bless you guys. Happy Friday. I hope you guys have a good weekend. Thank you, Stacy, Skippy, for being here. Everybody else, Zach, and everybody else that's here. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Make sure you guys go check out the clips that I upload. Go check out the videos. Make sure to just go to my videos and send a hype. Help me get into the algorithm. I appreciate you guys for all the love. Make sure you guys tune in on Monday, 9:30 a.m. Central Time, and we'll go for a little bit longer next week. Hopefully I can work on getting this new clip app thing to work for me so we can